Buzz. We've reinvented Game Buzz to be the Pwnecast spin-off where we basically discuss all of the hot topics from the news in the past 7 days. I'm Matt, and I'm joined here by John Lester.
Hi there.
And Carl Phillips.
Hello.
And yeah, it's been quite a jam-packed week for news.
Yeah, well, it's TGS.
Yeah, we've had a lot of stuff from TGS.
Been drowning in a deluge of screens and trailers and the odd reveal, the occasional reveal. But yeah, it's been quite a bittersweet week, hasn't it?
Yeah, because I think the biggest news from this week is the doctors have left the BioWare building.
Yeah, pull one out.
Pull one out for the doctors.
Mm.
You have to wonder. First of all, what do we make of that? Because you have to kind of wonder. Did it got to the stage where it's literally driven one of them to beer?
That's not a bad thing, surely.
It's a website that showcases some of the best microbrews and stuff. I think it's a great idea. But I'm going to be checking that out. But
getting someone import.
Yeah, right. But no, I've got to say, I feel pretty zen about the whole thing, actually. Because it's pretty clear that the two doctors went into the industry with a life plan. They went in to set themselves up for life by making great games. And they've done that. They've set themselves up, they've set their families up, and now it's time to explore other things. And what's more, they were, both of them complained about feeling sort of almost burned out and not having the passion they used to. And I can totally get behind that. Like, there's an expression that says everybody has a novel in them. These guys have had entire universes in them, and they've realized them. And doing that must be just creatively incredibly exhausting. There's nothing worse than a developer sticking around without that passion, without that drive. So it's sad.
Because then you get Fable 3.
Then you get Fable 3. It's sad to see them. It's sad to see them go. I mean, it's the end of an era in many ways, but if it's the right thing for them, then why not? Really, they've given fantastic service. And we should salute their achievements and wish them the best of luck, basically, because they've realised their plan. They've made great games. They've provided us with years of some of the best games and the best universes, the most unforgettable characters we've ever experienced, and now they want to get on with their lives.
Absolutely, and it's not like BioWare's going anywhere. You know, that BioWare's still going to be around, they're part of EA, but you know, it's still going to be there. Hopefully, still making good games.
Well,
I think that's going to be the mark.
Well,
of, I think the
time will tell. Yeah.
Yeah, their legacy is going to be incredibly important because I think that's how sort of leadership's judged in a way. Like, how much of their legacy will be passed on to BioWare sans the Doctors?
Yeah. And
can it survive? Well, it will survive. I mean, it's part of EA now. It's going to survive in some form or another. But will it be the same company? And
yeah, I mean, they could go the way of Rare, potentially.
Some would suggest, playing devil's advocate for a minute here, that they've already possibly started losing a certain amount of identity already.
Well, their brand is certainly being diluted with things like BioWare Victory. And yes, perhaps a few of their more recent games do show a bit of a lack of passion at the top. Not including Mass Effect 3 in that, because that was masterful. But the fact is they are an enormous studio full of dedicated individuals, full of skilled and passionate people. So I think there's an outside chance that they could become diluted and leaderless and start picking up much more esoterics, or worse, much more sort of cynical projects. I don't know if that's quite the right word for it, but being tasked to do things that maybe they never would have done with the doctors in charge. But yeah, the fact is they've been taking much more of a back seat over the last couple of years anyway. Yeah. And we saw earlier this year that they'd dropped leadership roles on a number of projects, and let them, especially SWTOR.
Yeah.
So
that maybe shows though.
Yeah, and I think all we can do is wait and see. And the fact is, they were very quick to say, yes, the doctors are going, but we're staying here and we are going to be bringing you some stuff.
Yeah, there was lots of stuff.
Stuff.
Lots of stuff. Meaty stuff. Dragon Age 3 has been... Well, we knew it was kicking around, but it's been formally announced now.
Yep. So that's good.
That is good. It's also good that they've come out and said, we're really sorry, we're not doing the cookie cutter thing anymore.
Yeah, and they actually said we've been listening to fans. We have been listening, which is pleasing.
The thing is, that tells me that they know that's a bad thing, which I'm gonna have to mention it, which makes me even more cross about Dragon Age 2. Because it doesn't make I said it didn't make sense. It still doesn't make sense. They've pretty much admitted that doesn't make sense. But now at least, well, they've admitted that, and we can all raise our expectations happily for Dragon. That has raised expectations for Dragon Age 3. They've come out. They've said, right, we know that was something that we shouldn't probably have done, and it's not going to be in Dragon Age 3. We're going to have this wide, varied world, and yeah. You're not going to.
You know what? If they let us import our Dragon Age Origins characters, I'll be laughing.
Oh right.
Oh,
frankly,
let us do that, please. The whole point of the Dragon Age franchise, surely, and calling the first one Origins, was surely because we could create these characters from their very inception, learn about their backgrounds, learn about what makes them tick, and then take them forward into an enormous world. And Dragon Age 2 was like, nah, Hawk.
Oh yeah, but that's because you had all that really awesome DLC.
Die.
Like the amazing, like Witch Hunt, which is the biggest waste of 560 points I've ever made in my entire life. That is just...
Yeah, you were so excited. You were so excited
sorry.
for that too.
I
I remember you saying, "Oh wow, we're gonna see. Yeah, it's been so long. She's gonna be just how I remember. And we're gonna be together forever, and it's gonna be wonderful." No.
What was?
Look, we're talking about Dragon Age 2 and the plethora of reasons why it's a fantastic and underrated game. But as you know, Matt, as of course you will agree. But yeah, Dragon Age 3 is happening, and that's not the only thing they're working on.
No.
Because they've also said we're working on new Mass Effect 3 DLC. Yay, because that's what you need at the end of a trilogy that closes off the storyline. DLC. But okay.
Yay.
Fine, if that's your bag, fair enough. It'll be especially useful if and when we go back to the first Mass Effect and play through the trilogy. Having extra stuff to do as well might take the sting out of things a bit.
I've actually got a theory about the DLC. I reckon they're going to bring out enough so that eventually, when people stop playing the multiplayer aspect of it, which you needed to do to get the highest EMS rating, I reckon if you buy.
Yeah, it does.
I know it does.
We know. We've done this.
Before
We've
we get onto
devoted
this.
an hour and a half to this.
Sorry.
But yes, if you get all the DLC and you play through it, and you get all the assets that you obviously get from doing all the DLC, you get a high enough EMS to get the best ending without having to do the multiplayer. That's my theory.
Okay.
Cool. I'm glad you've taken that on board. But
yeah,
that's what I reckon. There'll be enough. That
but no one cares because the best ending's bollocks.
Well, yes, but that's my theory.
But yeah, they're working on new DLC for Mass Effect. They're working on a new project running on next-gen technology, which is going to be a whole new universe, whole new franchise.
I'm much more because they've mentioned the possibility of a new Mass Effect game.
I was going to get onto that. That was the one I was going to. Yeah.
Alongside this, Casey and his team are also working on a brand new universe, and I'm much more excited for that brand new universe than I am for anything Mass Effect related currently.
I don't know. I love the Mass Effect universe. I want to explore it. I want to be in it some more. There's so many more directions they can take it, so many more planets to explore, so many new characters to meet. That universe has been so beautifully realized and that's why we keep saying that we love Mass Effect. It is just a place you want to be in. It's
going to be Star Wars Episode 1.
See, this is the thing, though, because if they do that, then ultimately we don't have as big a effect on the world around us, if that makes any sense. Obviously we'll be able to make some form of choices if they decide to go down the RPG route, but you're still not going to be able to really affect too much because you've now got this core storyline that they've got. At least that's my worry.
Yeah, and the thing is, I agree with you, John.
It depends how far back they want to sell it.
That's true.
Go back to discovering the Citadel. Go back to the really early expansion.
Because I mean, that's what BioWare did with Knights of the Old Republic, and it worked out incredibly well.
Exactly. I think that could be right. Exactly. If you go back far enough, you don't have to necessarily tie in directly to the existing games. You can actually create your own storyline there.
Yeah.
And your own standalone storyline that feels like it matters. So I think there's a huge amount of scope there. And you know what? It could be a sequel. Maybe starring Buzz Aldrin.
But the difficulty is that, okay, Mass Effect 1, for example, start of the trilogy, made us care so much because the RPG elements were right there. The character development was so good. It was the start of something incredibly fresh and new. EA hadn't got their paws on it. And BioWare were free to do exactly what they wanted. I really hope they're given that freedom again this time round.
EA has said that BioWare has, and I quote, complete control over their creative culture.
That is a PR quote.
Isn't it great?
Means absolute bollocks.
It could have only been improved if they said they're free to think outside the box, the blue sky thinking.
Like, we don't tell them what to do. Honest.
We don't tell them what to do, but do they tell them how to do it? That's the question, I think. That's what we're going to start finding out.
But yeah, like, excited for the new universe, because quite frankly, like, Mass Effect is a, as you said, wonderful universe, and they're not afraid to create creatures and races completely from scratch and give us something completely new.
Yeah, and that just don't look visually different and visually distinct, that have their own speech patterns, that have their own personalities, that have their own racial traits that play out into the way they're portrayed and into the way they interact with other characters and interact with the environments. Like I'd love to see a new universe, but I would also love to go back to the Mass Effect universe. There's so many more stories to tell there, I feel.
It's done right. I definitely agree with you. But it's got to be done right.
It has to be. Well, it's a game. It's got to be a good game. Like, so if they manage to pull it off, then brilliant. And yeah, there's going to be high expectations for that. But we're going to see Dragon Age 3 first, so maybe we can wait until then. It's a different team. We can start taking start inferring things once that comes out.
Yes. Reports that it's going to be set in Orlais.
Yeah. Those rumours were looking spot on. And fair enough. Everyone's going to have French accents.
That's what we can take from all of this. Everyone's going to be French.
I'll take that over West Country accents any day. I've had enough of West Country accents. I like the West Country accent, but I am so sick of hearing them in RPGs now. Then again, it's all Yorkshire accents now. So after Game of Thrones Series 1 came out, every game must have Yorkshire accents in it somewhere.
Winter is coming.
Winter is coming. But yeah, that's BioWare. They've got a brand new plan. It's the start of a new era, apparently, and they are going to be under a massive amount of scrutiny.
Yeah, rightfully so. But
yeah, like us hacks are circling. I think a lot of hacks smell a bit of blood here. This is going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be interesting. Yeah, very interesting indeed. What do we make of the PS3 Super Slim? Because that was something that was announced at TGS this week.
Yeah, it's really slim.
So slim.
Gosh,
it's so light. It's there's like 33% less console.
Tell you what, comes with a big old hard drive as well if you get the bundle.
Fat hard drive, right?
500 gig.
Because is that just a little bit of overkill?
Yeah.
I don't know. It depends on
what you use it for, because you can store. I know a lot of people who love storing enormous amounts of music on there for the visualizations, who store a lot of pictures and stuff on there as well to upscale it and show people stuff on the television. It's a media. The PS3 is a media center as well, so I think having a big hard drive can't hurt.
Yeah, I mean, you have to think about it. Over here, we have Play TV as well, so people will be using it as a DVR. Downloading all of the games, all the content that they're saying that's going to be coming out for PlayStation Plus. You know, it's good to have the space, I reckon. So yeah.
Yeah, and the more space you've got as well, the more stuff you can put on it before the hard drive starts taking a bit of a hit performance-wise as well.
Yeah.
My Xbox hard drive it's about 3/4 full, 120 gig, I think. But it takes ages now to populate the lists and to populate the now playing lists and to find stuff. So yeah, big hard drives are good.
Well, I think it was. I mean, it's interesting that Sony. Sony's John Collar, actually couched the Super Slim in terms relative to the Xbox when he said that it's attracted very high interest from Xbox 360 owners. Sort of the idea being that, like, this could be a second console. Sony will get sort of cash back from that.
He did, and I think even though Collar has been running his mouth recently,
a little bit,
he is probably right here, because while I love the Xbox 360, not only is this new hardware fairly tempting, although I dare say we're going to talk about its disk drive in a minute. Sony, Microsoft is saying, look, here's another Halo, here's another Forza, here's another Gears. Sony are going, look at this game, it's got freaking puppets. Oh, look, this one's got a guy, he's invisible. He's an invisible boy, play with him. Look, this is a crazy B movie. Look, this is a watercolor black and white world of puzzles and whimsy. And it's all new IPs, new stuff to play, new things. And a lot of Xbox 360 owners going, I quite like to play some new things.
Yes.
I think Collar's got a point here, and Sony have said that there's not going to be a price reduction for the PS3 Slim as opposed to the Super Slim. But I think a lot of retailers might think differently.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Right, come on, let's talk about that disk drive. I can't take it any longer. And that disk drive is, I don't know if I love it or am utterly disgusted by it at the moment.
It reminds me a lot of the PS2 Slim's kind of like way, because we've lost the input drive, so like the drawer or the auto. What's the word? I can't even think. Auto load. That's the one.
Yeah.
We've lost that, and now we're actually going to have to do something. But I think I need to see it in front of me to finally appreciate whether I think it's going to be
chunky. I love how chunky it is, though, because some disk drives, like the PS2 Slim's disk drive is the original PS2 sort of flipped up, and disk drives can be quite flimsy. This one goes like shunk.
Yeah.
When it comes open, it's this massive armor plate on the top, which hilariously actually looks like a George Foreman grill.
Yeah.
You know that meme that came out when the PS3 came out of it being a grill? They've just made that console. But I quite like mechanical, chunky, hard-wearing disc drives, because as someone who owned a fair few Xbox 360s where the disc drives failed, as someone who owns a new Xbox 360 now, where if you accidentally wave a hand or a foot anywhere near a little sensor, the disk drive just randomly closes or comes out. I like the fact that it looks like it's going to be hard wearing. You're going to be able to just, there's hardly any mechanical components to break or screw up or melt, or you press a thing, shunk, it comes out. Whack the disc in there, no little flimsy drive to come out, stick it in, close the thing, play it. I like that. And the thing is, though, I'd end up knackering the mechanism because I'd just be playing with the drive all day. Shunk. So, yeah, I think it's a nice piece of kit. I don't know if I necessarily like the way it looks, but that doesn't really bother me as far as consoles are concerned. I like the GameCube. I had an original Xbox, so
I loved the way the GameCube
aesthetics don't bother me hugely.
Yeah.
it's
So
what's under the hood.
Yeah, it's what's under the hood. Interestingly, though, that disc drive, Sony have officially said that it's louder than the PS3 Slim.
Well, I've seen a few unboxing videos that have been floating around the net, and they've said because of Sony told them that it's going to be a little louder because obviously the disc drive's on top, isn't it?
Yeah, and sure. It's just closer to the outside of the console.
Yeah. But from the videos that I've seen, it's the people obviously there say it wasn't that much louder. It's not going to affect the sort of like ambience when you're trying to play a game or anything like that. It's not too bad.
No, it's not going to be,
of course, this
like
second-hand knowledge.
60 power adapter.
No, not at all. So yeah, I think I really want to see one in person and just get to grips with it, and obviously play with the disc drive.
Ka-chunk.
Ka-chunk.
One more thing before we go. Halo 4.
Yeah, that's a game.
That's a game.
Definitely
game. It is a game that's coming out later this year, this November. But a little conversation we've been kicking around the office, and someone mentioned this as well on site.
Yeah, Better Than Life actually commented on this exact issue, which is spooky because we'd been talking about it that day.
Yeah.
Well, it was interesting because I was chatting to a couple of people at a recent event, and they said, I mean, it looks like there could be quite a wide-held opinion that we've seen too much, perhaps.
Yes, I think arguably, well, it's difficult to know before playing the campaign because on the face of it, we seem to know far too much. We now know all of the weapons, maybe. We now know all about the Promethean faction, who kind of maybe should have been a surprise. I don't know. Like, I'm not sure I needed to know about every variant of every kind of...
You expect the game to actually teach you this while you're playing it.
Yeah, but now I know to expect that there's, there are knights, there are alpha knights, there's battle wagon knights. I know what they're armed with. I know what their tactics are. We've seen them in action. We've seen gameplay footage. We've seen, and at one point it looked like a whole section of the script was on show in one of the trailers that people looked at.
Yeah.
And put online, like. Yes, on the face of it, absolutely, and this is, I think, what I and definitely what you, Carl, have been saying. Mm-hmm. I think we can know too much about the game, but Matt, as you pointed out, it's not quite as simple as that.
Well, the thing is, like, it's a brand new Halo with a brand new team doing brand new things. And gamers, like, we like to think we're an open-minded bunch, but collectively, history has shown that we're the exact opposite and highly conservative and don't like change.
Yeah, we are scared of change. Change is terrifying. Like, it's you know that every time you see, you've only got to say the words Wind Waker to know what happens when you try and change something. Like, or DMC to know what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, to know exactly how much gamers love things to be changed and switched up. So, yeah, Matt, you were right in saying that a lot of this is about maintaining full transparency and just easing people in.
Like, yeah, because you expect that if people know that changes are coming, they know what those changes are, then maybe they can build a little bit of hype before release, but also, ease people into the new stuff and be like, oh, okay, that looks pretty interesting, rather than, oh my god, blah. That's not a joy puke. That's a rage puke.
Yeah. But there's something else as well, and it's hopefully what we know so far, which seems to be an awful lot, actually is going to be just a drop in the ocean. If best case scenario, we're going to be playing that campaign and they're going to be dropping massive revelations on us. And
hopefully massive tanks.
A whole new thing, hopefully massive tanks. Maybe, I don't know, maybe the flood will come back again or something, or maybe they'll go... You'll suddenly meet Durandal from Marathon, and they'll go, "Yeah, this is a sequel." Power 7 come in, they start playing the old riff, and
there's guitars everywhere, and there's a scarab that just lands, and there's 3 more, and then you find, and almost
you might find some new Spartans, from the expanded universe and the literature who are out there, and they'll. That's best case scenario. I hope we're going to play it and there's going to be a wow moment as big as when we discovered the flood in Halo 1.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you guys, but from the footage I've seen of those Prometheans, I'm not sure how much fun they're going to be to fight.
Yeah, you turned around to me and said that the one that he was dancing in the latest dev video.
Yeah, that trailer has said, we wanted to make them look really intimidating. Cut to footage of this knight sort of dancing around, like just waving his little stubby arms in the air. What? And then going, so they're really reasoned, and we wanted to make them really alien, and we wanted to, oh look, they've got, we wanted to make them seem really advanced, and oh look, their helmets randomly open up and there's a leering human skull. Like, this isn't a Doom game. I've rarely seen such a disparate collection of just random art design elements thrown together into a single character.
Oh, Darksiders.
Like, he looks like, yeah, apart. Okay, no, that's a lie. I've seen much more ridiculous design elements thrown together before. Yeah, Hybrid was a bit like that as well. But
it was.
But yeah, I want Halo 4 to be good. You know what? That multiplayer is looking amazing.
It really is.
Absolutely.
And one of us is, I think, probably you, is going to get the chance to go fully hands-on with that next week.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
One of us is. It's going to be good. Either way, it's going to be good.
That because, you know, Halo's multiplayer has always been a draw. It's always been really exciting. Halo 3 and Halo Reach. Like, you know what? Reach had a slightly sort of unsatisfying campaign. Technically solid, but unsatisfying. But its multiplayer is still great.
SWAT every time.
And it's cohesive, and you can put it in the drive, and you'll know that whatever mood you're in, there's something cool to play.
Yeah.
And it looks like Halo 4 is going to just satisfy that as well. But for me, it's always been about the single player for me, Halo. It's always been about playing through the campaign and finding out discovering what new revelations are in store, discovering what new awesome vehicle sections are in store, having these big sandbox levels where I can use whatever weapons I want, whatever vehicles I want. Playing through that in co-op, playing through that in a solo legendary run, always have to do that. This campaign's got to deliver, and that for me is going to be the biggest test of whether 343 have what it takes.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. So we live in hope.
Fingers crossed, I think. Fingers crossed, touching wood.
And you know, worst comes to worst, we got enough on our plates already.
Oh, no. Crompocalypse! Yeah, sorry about that. Just
the Crompocalypse is happening.
Speaking of which...
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
really go and
play Borderlands 2?
I think we probably should.
Yeah.
So yes,
Guys.
Game Buzz is a new thing, and well, it's an old thing that's been transformed into a new thing, and we'll be doing that every week alongside our regular podcast to bring you lots and lots of commenting criticism on the week's news. So yes, hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned to iTunes and our YouTube channel, and as always, if you have anything that you'd like to hear us chat about, let us know.
Yeah, literally anything.
Literally anything.
Anything.
If you've read a review of ours and you want to know more, or you want to tell us that we've got something wrong, if you want to talk about the way we operate, anything at all, let us know. We'll talk about it.
We'll chat anything for you, dears. Anything. Oh.
Not that. No. Never that.
I'm not sure where that came from. Right. I clearly need to go and heal myself by playing some Borderlands. Yes, so yes, thank you very much for listening, guys. We'll catch you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.